Okay, welcome back again to some more Everlasting Summer action. We're going to be playing some mods this time, since we've basically gone through the main story and through Jenya's story as well, so should be pretty fun actually. We'll just go into it right now. Okay, there we go. So we got To Go Beyond, which we've already done. We've got Winter Miracle, which is an alternate version to Winter Tale, and we've got One Pioneer Story. Actually, no, wait, that's the one we've done. We haven't done To Go Beyond. So just check when I started recording. Okay, so we'll do Winter Tale, and depending on how we go for time, I might go for the other ones as well. But yeah, Winter Tale is what we'll start with right now. Perfect. God, I really hope it is streamed properly. Whatever. it'll be on YouTube in either case. So there you go, things are looking pretty nice and frozen. And there is presumably the camp, except it's winter now. We're playing with snow, throwing it at each other and whatever. Winter Tale, very nicely done. So this was also done by the actual developers themselves, as in the original game developers, as a what they call a Christmas card. But so I think it was done last Christmas, maybe the Christmas before that, I don't know. Anyway, everything in this life has a beginning and an end. There would be no new life without death, and no joy of a long-awaited meeting without parting. Unless the universe itself could break this rule at the very beginning, but we can't know this. Everything has its cause and consequence, one thing leads to another. So presumably this is meant to be after we've originally parted ways with Sovyonok and its inhabitants, and now we're coming back during winter time. I don't know, I'm not really sure what the actual backdrop is meant to be. I noticed that right now actually it is using the icy arrows on both sides, maybe, but that's because it's probably winter in Sovyonok as well. But anyway, motivation of our actions, their outcome. This invisible thread runs through our existence. Wait a minute, motivation of actions. Okay, yeah. What would happen? What would have happened if I didn't? If you didn't what? Anyway, I was distracted from these existential thoughts. Why, heavy blow on the head. It hurts. Oh, the pain of it all. Anyway, I looked up and saw an annoyed Jenya hanging over me. Great, gonna get another creepy storyline probably. Daydreaming again? Huh? Can't I reflect upon my own thoughts? You dumb bitch. Anyway, I replied resentfully, and also noticed that we're in the camp and it still has the icy things on left and right there. As much as you want, but please do it elsewhere. As if I'm bothering you. Just fancy. She set the glasses straight casually and stared out of the window. Jenny is always like this, affected seriousness, excessive self-confidence, and belief in her rightness, the desire to show that she knows everything better than the others. I uttered after a moment of silence. Aren't you homesick? Why is Andy playing SimCity? Anyway, aren't you homesick? Why? She looked at me bewildered. Well, I am. You've spent less than a week here. Yeah, right, but he hasn't. I didn't know what to say next and gave a deep sigh. Or at least that's what I'm guessing anyway. You have something to miss then. Jenya made a serious face. Not really. Why then? Well, you see, I thought everything would be different here. Wait a minute, he thought everything would be different here, so was he expecting it to be summertime, or... Okay, not really sure what he means. Haven't you ever been to a camp before? No, I admit it honestly. And what have you expected? Well... Ah, there we go, that's the same. At this moment I heard the music calling the pioneers for lunch. I was unspeakably happy about it, as I didn't know how to answer a question anyway. Actually, what was a question again? I should have been paying attention. Oh, what have you expected? Right. Oh god, need a bit more attention span it seems. Shall we go? Yeah, why not? She smiled for the first time this day. Yes, I answered absently. Yeah, there we go. Nice little winter terrain there. I stopped in the square. You know, I should drop by my tent. Go on. Okay. Jenya shrugged her shoulders and went to the canteen. I've got particle effects and everything. I waited until she was out of sight, sat on the bench, buried my face in my hands, and sighed in exhaustion. No, I definitely wasn't going to come back to the tent knowing that electronic was there. These days I got sick of him blabbering about robots, cybernetics, and science fiction. I was already willing to live on the street, provided that I wouldn't see his ever smiling face anymore. It was absolutely obvious that not all of the tents were occupied, which means there were vacant places. But I simply couldn't dispute with, or maybe argue with Olga Dmitrievna when she lodged me with this future luminary in Soviet science. I've never been good at arguing. So I've been for already 7 days in this camp. 7 darned, needless, useless, and pointless days. My initial fear and horror when I thought that I had died and gone to hell was forgotten by now. Yeah, apparently it's meant to be some sort of a purgatory. Bit of a spoiler alert, but chances are if you're watching this video you've probably seen at least some of my previous videos of Everlasting Summer. But anyway, all silly theories of alien abduction, government experiments, or a time hole, really? More like a time warp, were forgotten. The chance to start my life anew, to forget the past, its mistakes and losses. I didn't feel euphoric about all this anymore. Now I was left with a rotten anthrax of the present and a vague future which I believed would hardly ever come. Oh, so maybe he's aware that he's looping around then, by the sounds of it. I was surrounded by old, frayed, ragged puppets of local inhabitants, pioneers and their leader. Sounds like it. Who are they anyway? What are they? And why is it winter? Anyway, they're barely an excuse for a human being causing a compassionate smile or a wild grin, a misplaced, grotesque touch to a picture of purgatory, wallowing in sins and vices, my last refuge in this life. I see. Okay, I spitted in disgust and punched the bench. I tried to spend all my free time in the library. Why not? In the end, it was the only place that reminded me of my old life. Same books that I once read, from Pushkin's and Anderson's tales to Sholokov's and Platonov's life stories of real men. Real men getting caught in camps, I'm sure. Anyway, of course, here was no science fiction, which I liked the most. Shekli, Zhelyazny, Heinlein. It's no surprise, as it turned out, in Soviet Russia, science fiction was written about you. Okay. Soft crackle of pages, yellow from time, thick covers, worn books, and the scent of book dust, which can't be confused with anything. I would have gone mad long ago without these common things of which I once took no notice, considering them quite ordinary. Yeah, it's funny how the mundane can change like that. Maybe I'm in a book myself now. Oh, getting meta. I should have seen that coming. And everything that's going on was conceived by an unseen genius. Wow, they really like themselves, don't they? Going on, by the way, what's actually going on? During these 7 days, absolutely nothing has happened to me. Nothing. I'm not going to bother spelling that out. I've been eating, sleeping, reading, eating, sleeping. What, didn't they get him to carry some sacks of sugar or something? Anyway, could it be some serious psychological drama? A tragedy of an unwanted man? I grinned. There was something else in the library though, something that made me rush there in a frosty morning before breakfast, making my way through the snowdrifts and shivering with cold. Something I couldn't yet admit. But what? The sun topped the horizon, giving out no warmth to the frozen camp. Just who hit on... Oh, hit on the idea... Okay, yeah, and just who hit on the idea of sending children here in winter? Why not? It does look sort of picturesque, I have to admit. It'd be freezing cold as well, but there you go. Surely it was nowhere near summer when I was pulled out of my past, but still. So he's not aware of the summer version of the camp, apparently? I tried to remember if camps actually worked in winter, but it was in vain. Snowflakes slowly fell on Gender's head, or Gender's head. Trees were covered by a white veil of snow, and frozen puddles glinted in the sun beyond all bearing. A winter tale, oh, they even said it. Idyll. That's what I could have thought of this scenery in another situation. Or idyllic, perhaps. I stood up reluctantly and looked at the watch. I still had time before lunch. I'm pretty sure I didn't have a watch in the original game, in the summer version. Cabbage soup, pasta and a cutlet. The food didn't matter to me at all. Well, it could be worse, I guess. May I? It looks like we got all the familiar characters returning. She looks a bit different, to say the least. Looks like a different artist must... Yeah, a different artist must have done this or something. Because, yeah, it looks like the style is different and everything. I think. Anyway. Still picking out my food, I looked up and saw Slavia. I don't know why they changed their hair. I suppose maybe it's not as practical in winter or something, I don't know. I don't know. I shrugged. She sat down across from me and smiled. Oh, we're going to get a... So she's not just going to be standing there on the screen. Looks like we can get some different shots, eh? Why are you sad again? Why again? You're always sad. She put on a serious face. Am I? She really looks different. Jesus. I answered absently. You are. Do you think no one notices? To tell the truth, I didn't care at all. I'm sorry. There's nothing to apologize to me for. She frowned. I'm trying what is best. I was about to say leave me alone then, but restrained myself. Attaboy. Thanks for your care. I do so declare, I said indifferently. Do you perhaps want to have a talk? Not really. What did I have to talk to her about? Everything. The future, time warps. Come on, man. You'll feel better. Are you a psychologist or something? How does that make you feel? I replied crossly. See, you are angry. Yes, I'm sorry. I said, reverting to my normal state of apathy. Which means that I'm right. Yes, undoubtedly. You are not listening to me. Exactly. See? I fully agree. That was good. Slavia took the tray and got up from the table in silence. I didn't even raise my head to follow her with my eyes. After all, I'm not 5 years old and I'm not a girl to play dolls. Oh, that's right, he's going to consider them as dolls now. God, that was disturbing actually when we saw that path that Samuel took when he thought of them as dolls. But anyway. Got some dots and there we go. I finished my lunch and headed back to the library. Here I'm back. What? Okay, I said with a yawn. But Jenya wasn't at her usual place. Hi there. Yep, she looks a bit different as well. Uliana was sitting at the table. Why on earth are you here? It doesn't look like you can read at all. Oh, come on. She flared. Do you ever smile? No. I cut short. Indeed, for the last week I haven't had a chance to. How can you live like this? As you can see, I can somehow. Especially if he keeps looping around regardless. To put it more precisely, I existed without much strain waiting for the end. You're such a bore, but you're much too cheerful. Everything's according to the conservation law. Law of conservation of dejection. Uliana giggled. Alright, if you want to stay here, be quiet, don't disturb my reading. What are you reading? Books. Having made a face, I answered. This is so boring. It may be for children. Children are smarter than many grown-ups. Yeah, that's true. She smirked. One can tell that, but please grow wiser in silence. Okay. Jenya asked me to sit here till you come. You're here, so I'm off. She bounced out of the chair and hurried to the exit. It was clearly she needed to keep guard at the place, in case if some NATO bastards came in or something. But anyway, hang on, and where's Jenya? She's busy. What does it mean? What the fuck do you think it means? Anyway, during all this time that I spent here, she was a willing prisoner of the library together with me. She was preparing for the evening. What's going to happen this evening? Liana didn't answer, laughed, and ran out into the street. You want to be like a winter dance or something? I stared at the door for some time, then I sat down and took the first book I found. More dots. The Soviet classic is of course a good thing, but I've never particularly liked it. Soon I became bored with it. Didn't even mention what it was. I put the book aside, dropped my head on the table and closed my eyes. Well, if this is meant to be, you know, obviously this guy's depressed. We get it. How long is this going to go for though? I mean, really. Anyway, how much time is left for me, I wonder? I've already stopped asking myself about my whereabouts and why I'm exactly here and not in some other place. After all, such a sudden change of the such a sudden change of the surroundings, if I could call it like that, hasn't altered neither me nor my attitude to life. It doesn't matter where to be depressed, if one could describe my condition this way. It's not just depression, it's existential angst even, combined with it. But anyway, being within four walls at home or boxed up in the office, being atop of a foreboding summit, making a last spur to the breaking point of one's abilities, or being in a heavenly valley, chewing a grass blade blissfully. But the last one sounds like the best one actually. What does it matter now if even this couldn't change my approach to life? I recalled what had happened a week, a month, a year ago. Oh, we're going to get a flashback maybe? Here we go. Lately my old life often flashed before my eyes, merging into an indiscreet motley blot. The palette was mainly black and white though. I guess it's easier than doing colour. I wasn't scared, there was simply nothing to be scared of. There was nothing to remember, nothing to care of, nothing to strive for. Were the cause and circumstances of my death really that important? To die either of loneliness within four walls or in this strange camp or something else? To me it made no difference. Again. Genya sighed. I raised my eyes and looked at her wearily. What else can I do? I answered with a forced smile. Aren't you sick of this yourself? Sick of what? Do you really like reading this much? I do. What's wrong with it? No, nothing. Maybe you should move here. She burst out laughing. Why, that's a great idea. I peered at her. It was hard to say what she was thinking of at one time or another. Perhaps we were something alike, the same inscrutable mask, only the pattern was different. It was either a similarity or something else that had influenced me so much over the last week. Thirst for knowledge and reading surely wasn't the main reason why I was sitting in the library day and night. An awkward silence ensued. It had to be broken. Broken, smashed, annihilated, turned into a unison of merry voices. What? Okay then. At least I wished for it at that moment and I said... Oh my god, don't tell me fucking... Oh, god. I was thinking it fucking crashed, but anyway. Alright, so he says, you know I love you. Oh, okay, that was a bit unexpected. The words were said in a calm voice, though my heart was beating wildly in my chest, as if it got tired of watching my despondency and decided to leap out and live his own life full of joy and happiness. She stared at me as if she saw a ghost. You're crazy. I didn't answer, just kept staring at her as if nothing had happened. Now there you go. Genya ran off from me and hid behind the bookcase. Wait a minute, is this meant to be like a prelude to the other story then? So this is where he meets the genuine version of Genya or something. I don't really know. Huh, bizarre. Are you serious? She spoke low so I could hardly make out the words. Yeah, why not? You're definitely crazy. I've suspected this for a long time. Why? Because you just can't all of a sudden. You can't for no reason. Why? She didn't answer. Indeed, why have I said all this? What's the point? Even if I do have feelings for the girl, telling all this on the spur of the moment, well, why not? It's going to loop back anyway. But anyway, she'll probably think I'm insane in the membrane. Or rather, she already thinks so. I recall all the time I've spent here. All my memories were connected with her, whether they were good or bad. Library, books, Genya. Why? I repeated my question. There was no answer. I looked out of the window. The night was falling on the camp. Yet another meaningless cold day was coming to an end. Genya ran out from behind the bookcase. She was still blushing like she had been after my words. You. She didn't finish the phrase and rushed to the library exit. Indeed. I stared blankly at the door that had slammed behind her. So then, something's changed in my life, and not only over the last week. I must have committed an act of the meaning of which I still can't perceive. One with ineffable consequences. It'll become real soon enough, I guess. Anyway, was there a meaning at all? What does the future hold for me? Why am I here to begin with? An act, nothing of the kind. I laughed. An act, there was no such a word in my vocabulary. Laid my head on my arms again and closed my eyes. I felt about for the table lamp switch and pushed it with effort. The room lit up with a dim light which was enough for only a couple of meters. Alyssa stood in front of me with her hair that looks sort of like Pikachu's tail, like on both sides. Not bad. Seems I've already seen her so many times. Of course, we met at breakfast, even talked about something. That's not the point. It seems I saw her not only today, yesterday, or the day before yesterday. It seems I've known her for already many years. It applies to everyone in this camp. The library, the canteen, the square, the bus stop of that damned Route 410. I've just become aware of their reality just recently. But I knew at heart that I'd seen that before. It couldn't be even called déjà vu. It rather looked like an annoying desktop wallpaper which one couldn't be bothered to change. You forgot about it a long time ago, forgot why it said that's wallpaper, forgot its meaning. One day you come upon it in the internet and try hard to remember where you've seen it, having forgotten completely that here it is on your desktop like an eyesore. I was sure I'd find you here. Alyssa looked at me intently. It wasn't hard to guess. And what do you want from a humble civil servant, ma'am? She smiled. An extension cord should be hereabout. Why here? But why not? I mean, why is the flower there in a different playthrough? But anyway, you'd better ask Genya about it. I answered reluctantly. I tried, but she's not in her right mind right now. No wonder. Now, why? I have no clue. Alyssa shrugged her shoulders. She looks like she's seen a ghost. Indeed. That's quite possible. I got up from the table with an effort. Wait a minute. During the week that I've spent in the camp, I explored the library perfectly well. One could say I've become someone like an assistant librarian, so I had no problem finding the extension cable. While I was away to get it, Alyssa turned on the lights. Here you are. Isn't there a longer one? God, she's never satisfied, eh? There hardly is. I weighed up that the cord was about 15 meters, no less. Oh, thank God he's not using imperial measurements. Alright, that's something at least. Alyssa said and went out of the library. I think I liked the way that she was drawn in the original game a bit better than that, but oh well, whatever. Wait, that's just silly the way she is now. Anyway, I had no desire to ask what she needed it for. In the end, if I don't pry into other people's affairs, they won't probably poke their noses in mine. ... I didn't want to read it all, I was just sitting and looking out the window at the falling snow. There were no thoughts in my mind, I was completely appeased. Over this week I've experienced all kinds of emotions. Fear, despair, apathy, indifference, and despair once again. Probably this palette lacked bright colours. Where would they come from though? bad it's not summer, eh? Anyway, I looked at the watch. It was nearly 10 PM. It looks like I've overslept to dinner after all. Yeah, damn bastard. But anyway, well, it is no wonder. In winter the days drag on slowly, but one has only to forget about it, to close one's eyes for just a moment, and a considerable amount of time is left out of your life. Yeah, I suppose so. I sighed and made for the exit. What's the camp like in summer, I wonder? Ah, okay, so doesn't recall, or maybe he's never been through the summer loops then. Alright, in winter there's definitely nothing to do here, at least in the evening. I decided to come back into the tent and go to bed early. Oh, there we go, that looks nice, I guess. Having reached the square, I didn't realise at first what was happening. A fir tree, garlands, Genda wearing Father Frost's cap, pioneers bustling about. Hey, I called to Lena running at me, by me. God, she looks a bit different, Jesus. Nah, definitely preferring the older art style a bit better, the sprites, but what the hell. She stopped and looked at me shyly. What's actually going on here? Well, it's New Year, so something has changed. She smiled faintly. New Year, a war could begin and come to an end and I would miss it. But then it's no wonder. It's winter and I don't know the exact date. There's a high possibility that today is December 31st. Oh, I see. I drawled. So you're getting ready? We are. Well, it's good. Yeah. She was still looking at me as if she was trying to understand what I wanted from her. That's a good question. What the fuck is he really doing? God. Well, good luck then. I was about to go on, but suddenly Lena stopped me, pulling... Wait a minute. I was about to go on, but suddenly Lena stopped me, pulling me slightly by the sleeve. Were you unaware of it? It slipped my mind somehow. I lied. Well, it seems she got even more confused. New Year is so exciting. I have no doubt. I replied sarcastically. Maybe you could ask him, you know, what's the next year, basically, so you can get some idea of what time he's in. But anyway. So I replied sarcastically, aren't you happy? Why, of course I am. That's good. Seems she hasn't caught my sarcasm. Will you perhaps help us? Help you? Who said I needed to? Just a week ago I lived my usual life in a familiar world, and then everything turned upside down. What is more, it's New Year's here. I've never liked this holiday. But Lena was looking at me in such a way that I had to answer with something. Well, okay, why not? I decided to help anyway. In the end, what does it matter how to pass the time here? In this way I'll probably be able to relax a little. Thank you. Adorning the fir tree of ornaments, I went over the memories related to New Year in my mind. Obviously, yeah, it doesn't have any good ones. Did I have any at all? Long ago in my boyhood, I still remember that time. At the end of December, the anticipation of the holiday came. The fresh scent of fir, needles, mossy glimmer of garlands, sweet, sweet tangerines, a Russian salad, and a lemon pie, my mother's specialty. Yeah, I would have preferred a made pie, and maybe lemon in something else, but whatever. I always tried to fall asleep quickly so I could wake up earlier than the others at 6 in the morning, sneak quietly to the fir tree, and unwrap the presents. Transformers, robot in disguise, a Lego set, ROM cartridges, God, those are the days. I so expected all this from Father Frost back then, and he always brought exactly what I wished for, as if he could read my mind. And even if there was something else under the New Year's tree, I never got upset. A child's imagination would always find a use for anything. A plush bunny could be assigned to be Black Overlord, ruling a tin soldier's horde, and a transformer could be a superhero saving the world. Wow, that's original. I also remember New Year's holidays, those 2 weeks when one could play, watch cartoons, and be stuffed with candies day and night. In fact, the festival didn't come slowly to New Year's Eve, but lasted for about a month. Or just say fest in that case, whatever. Fest, drink fest. But as time went by, the joy of New Year's anticipation vanished somewhere. Yes, I know the feeling. Anyway, perhaps I changed, matured, and so already celebrated it not at home with my parents, but in a jolly crowd of close and not so close friends. My mother's pie gave place to the champagne, or something stiffer. I prefer vodka myself, but anyway. Tin soldiers and construction sets, to new devices and stock shirts and neckties. Father Frost was replaced by Mr. Yeltsin, then by Mr. Putin, and finally by Mr. Medvedev. Medvedev, great name. But then, friends and acquaintances also disappeared somewhere. I greeted the chimes slouching over the display, competing with the same sad and lonely Anons in who was to post the first message this year. I see. And after all these changes in my life, I'm decorating a huge fir tree in the square of a weird camp, together with weird, strange pioneers, and at the same time, I don't feel the coming of the holiday at all. Well, there you go, that's depression for you, eh? I hardly trifled with a small figure of Snow Maiden, and stared at the star adorning the top of the tree, which is unfortunately cut off in this shot. All of those old Soviet ornaments with which I adorned the fir tree at home came back to my mind. They already survived several generations and looked shabby from time and merriment. Some were damaged, many of them paled, but some seemed almost new. Because communism keeps on going. I had the ornaments I was hanging on the branches at the moment who looked brand new in comparison with these memories. These thoughts made me smile for the first time. Finally, we finished decorating the fir tree. I looked at the watch. Actually, it looks about the same to me, but whatever. I looked at the watch. The time was coming up to midnight. The square was packed with pioneers. They talked loudly, laughed, played snowballs. With snowballs. This sight caused a strange warmth to spread inside of me. I felt someone approach me from behind. I turned around and saw Jenya. She was blushing beet red, either from the frost or from confusion, but most likely because of all-in-one. You know, it's not what I wanted to say, you just... Seems she was lost for words. Yes? Well, you, back then, were you serious? Like, totally. I remembered our recent conversation in the library. Was I serious indeed? Maybe I said all that to get rid of boredom, but this theory was definitely flawed. I peered at Jenya. I was. My voice sounded surprisingly calm. Then, well, I don't know. She stood with her head lowered without raising her eyes. New Year is coming soon. Yeah. Just a little time left. Just a little time's left. Whatever. Yeah. A traditional New Year's song started playing somewhere far off, or was it playing in my head? Guys, are you ready? The leader's perky voice was heard. Pioneers responded, yes, sir, all together. All of a sudden, everyone was holding glasses with some foaming liquid, probably detergent or something. Actually, it doesn't really. Well, you know what I mean. Some industrial crap. I sniffed and determined it was Duchess pear soda. That doesn't sound too bad. Having realised this, I burst out laughing involuntarily. So not quite. What did I say before? Actually, foaming liquid was. Laundry to yeah, anyway, whatever. Russian name of pear soda. Okay, yeah, well, they kind of said in the brackets as well. What's the matter? Jenya finally looked at me. No, nothing. It's just, let's see out the old year. I clinked glasses with Jenya. She came closer. 10. Leader began to count down. I took Jenya's hand and peered at her. Awkward pause. Oh, there we go. She flushed but smiled at the same time. Wait a minute. My god, he's actually got eyes. Well, there we go. I think it was worth playing this mod just to see that. Incredible. And they're kind of purplish as well. But what do you know, eh? What do you know? 9. Everyone whom I got to know over such a short period of time spent here was standing out beside. We're standing beside. It's a bit of a weird sentence construction. Wait a minute, where's Miku? Oh, whatever. Slavian, Lena, Alyssa, and Uliana. And apparently I am streaming properly because someone has actually come in, Lindenov. So yeah, welcome Lindenov. Unfortunately I don't speak Russian and my Serbian is not that great and I don't understand Cyrillic too well either. Actually I only know a few symbols, so what the hell. Sit back and enjoy. So hopefully it's streaming alright. Really wish you would speak English, but oh well. Slavian, Lena, Listen and Rana, they all looked forward to New Year and counted down together with the leader. You know, maybe you're not that bad. 8. I'm trying. I laughed. 7. This is the longest countdown I've ever seen. Well, okay, that I've seen in a bit of a while anyway. Maybe I was appeased by this festive mood. It happened for the first time for the past few years. 6. You know, I was confused. Wait a minute, did he say that? Okay, confused. Serious, yet. 5. I see. She looked at me in the face and smiled. 4. I realized that perhaps it wasn't so bad, and why did I doubt the rightness of my actions at the library? Indeed, yes. Don't worry, I just watch. Well, good, as long as it's streaming alright and you can see the picture and all that, then good. Just sit back and relax. So yeah, why did I doubt the rightness of actions at the library? Can it be too early for such things? Is there a right and a wrong time for this? One doesn't need much to express one's feelings, to tell about them to a dear person. It's not worth looking for an excuse or waiting for an appropriate moment. I was sure that I did right. And right now I just wanted to be here to hold Genya by the hand and to count down the seconds to the beginning of the new year together with the leader. Which I believe they're still in the middle of the countdown actually. In the end, I do have the right to enjoy the holiday. What's going to happen next? Is it that important and worth worrying about if I can't get rid of reflections that constantly eat me up, even for a moment? Perhaps it doesn't take much to change something. Suddenly I felt calm and warm. Free. Free, I shouted with everyone. There, you smiled. Everything flows, nothing stands still. I just stood and waited for the beginning of the new year together with everyone. I didn't care about anything at that moment. I'll be happy even if for a brief moment. And then this moment may extend over the new years. The main thing is that I made the first step. 2. So, next year everything's going to be better than this year, isn't it? Oh, come on, how can you say that in a second? I mean, really. God. 1. Sure thing, have no doubt. That's what it's all about. In the end, that which I've been searching for so long isn't somewhere far away now, not in another universe, but is right here beside me. I looked at Genya and smiled. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Finn. Soviet Games wishes you all a Happy New Year. Oh, well, that was pretty touching, I suppose. It's a bit limited in its scope, I guess, but what the hell? Oh, that was interesting. I wonder how Winter Miracle is going to turn out in that case. Oh, there you go, not too shabby. An interesting look at long-term depression and yeah, just I suppose getting lifted out of it, if only temporarily, by celebrations and all that. Something like that, all of that. I was kind of hoping for a little bit more, but what the hell. Let's see, how are we doing for time? Well, what the hell, actually, I think I will play Winter Miracle, if only to see how that's actually meant to be different from Winter Tale. So, yep, just stay tuned for that. I'll be back in a second. And for YouTube people, I'll see you all in the next video.